So it's finally happened. NASCAR has held their first race in almost 70 days at the Darlington Raceway for the Real Heroes 400, and man, we were treated to what a good race. And first thing I have to say, getting straight into this, is what an excellent job NASCAR and everyone has done. Everyone involved, just fantastic job. Some thought, maybe it's too early to be holding a race. What's the point without fans? I think many people can agree with this. It went way better than I expected it to. What a show! Sometimes I didn't even notice there weren't fans there. I mean, it was just. And the running joke goes, of course, we've all seen the Brickyard 400, ha ha ha. But you don't even notice. I think Fox did a great job, personally, to kind of use angles to kind of delete the stands a bit. But yeah, just first and foremost, I want to put it out there that I think that was fantastic what went on today. What's up, guys? Race Nation TV here. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy it. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be recapping the race and telling you what happened, get you up to speed, and then after we'll talk a bit more about the race and what happened. So right off the bat at the green flag, without any practice or qualifying, it was kind of to be expected that there'd be a big pileup in turn 1. Well, it was only one car, as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in turn 2 just made an odd move on the apron and spun and wrecked. So we had a yellow on lap 1 in turn 2, but the next restart would be fairly clean, as we would finally be making some laps. So the race went fairly clean. There was some great racing going on. The top 3, it looked like the fastest guys were going to be Keselowski, Harvick, and Jimmie, and Alex Bowman soon joined the picture. That was until the final lap of the stage when Jimmie Johnson was leading and coming out of turn 2 just made a awkward decision underneath Chris Buescher and ultimately spun himself out and hit the wall. So yeah, I think one of the biggest points of the race was Jimmie Johnson in this incident. It was an odd move. Why he stuck in underneath of Chris Buescher, I have no idea. I think a lot of people were questioning that. Honestly, Jimmie Johnson cannot catch a break. He was leading, gonna win the stage, only had a few corners to go, and yeah, I mean, you just can't catch a break. That was all on him. That was his fault, but you still can't help but feel bad for the man. I mean, come on. The good news is, though, they're going back racing Wednesday. They have a good car. They know that. Cliff Daniels, crew chief of Jimmie Johnson, voiced that he wasn't very concerned. Jimmie Johnson, he's a 7-time champion for a reason. He's shown pace all season long, so I expect him to do well on Wednesday, so that's going to be something to look forward to. So going into stage 2, things were getting fairly interesting as we were actually riding on board of the bumper cam, and where we saw William Byron. He got loose a little bit in 1 and 2, but then going into 3 and 4, he fully lost it, had a little wiggle, hit the wall, and NASCAR kind of waited to throw the yellow here. He rode down the back straight with a flat right rear tire until turn 1 when he kind of just looped it around to bring out the yellow. That would be followed by Daniel Suarez spinning out and sitting there and bringing out the yellow. So getting into that point, I think something, this is going to be a theme throughout the video, and this is something I think quite a bit of people were annoyed with, is some of these yellows, like William Byron. It seemed to look fairly intentional with the spins. After he hit the wall, kind of going into turn 1 and kind of doing a lazy spin, Suarez, obviously he got going, but that was after the yellow was called. This would happen later in the race, I'll get to that, but yeah, this was ultimately something that was a theme going on, that drivers were intentionally spinning after they'd hit the wall or something had gone wrong. So that was definitely something interesting. Speaking of interesting, one of the weirdest reasons for a yellow, the blue emu banner on the wall came off and stuck to the grill of Denny Hamlin, which he then transferred to Tyler Reddick, and that would bring out the yellow. Not for debris. Ultimately, I would say more the banner was still falling off of the wall. Yeah, pieces of the, just put this in perspective, how crazy this race is. And I think the big word here is unpredictability as well. How a freaking banner falling off the wall caused a yellow. And also something very memeable is that it was Blue Emu, and if you know anything about the Blue Emu controversy of iRacing, yeah, still making headlines. So under this yellow, someone who was looking very strong and coming up through the field very fast was Tyler Reddick, who had an uncontrolled tire. This would push him back. But then ultimately after this, Christopher Bell would be involved in a spin where he would kind of lazily spin, I would say, and bring out the yellow. Next, Brad Keselowski would win the stage, and going into stage 2, the next yellow we brought up with Chris Buescher. And also, it was kind of Chris Buescher in the mixture of a grass fire in turn 2. Yes, a grass fire. We first were starting off with banners falling off the track, and now we have a grass fire in turn 2. After the grass fire, the last caution would come out with Ryan Newman, once again with a lazy spin. This was kind of the most random caution I've seen NASCAR throw. He kind of got loose in turn 4 and then went into 1 way below the apron and just spun. Ryan Newman way out of the racing line there. Weird yellows, weird yellow for that. But this yellow would lead to a fairly amazing restart with Alex Bowman and Kevin Harvick going side by side for multiple laps, which ultimately Kevin Harvick would prevail, and the story from then on was Kevin Harvick would be fairly dominant. The pace for Kevin Harvick just kind of came out of nowhere, and he would ultimately win the race. Quite the crazy race back, I would say. The big thing that was a positive for it was the unpredictability, like I mentioned. When's the last time you saw the leader spin by themselves? Even if it was coming to the end of a stage, the leader spinning by themselves. So I think for this race, probably being one of the most important races for NASCAR, probably since 9/11, I think the race that was put on, I don't know if you could ask for much more. I think the only thing that could have made it better was possibly running the low downforce package, which you might say is something like, oh, you mean that's probably too much to ask. But I think kind of the consensus around social media has been, oh, there's not even going to be any Darlington stripes because of this package and stuff. I think people knew coming in that this package, especially for Darlington, is not the greatest. So I think, honestly, if we would have gone to low downforce, it would have been even better. Because it was so hot, we saw drivers getting loose everywhere, so close to the wall. It was spectacular to watch, but just imagine if it was low downforce. Normally we don't, I was pointing it out tons of times. When's the last time we saw cars getting loose? Only at Darlington with this package, apparently. Maybe Atlanta. But yeah, I think low downforce probably would have been the way to go, especially at single groove racetracks like Darlington, because it's not that wide, so you can't, it's not like for instance, Atlanta or Chicagoland or any of those tracks where you can spread out and fan out, maybe Auto Club. So yeah, I think that the high downforce package at Darlington definitely needs to be looked at and maybe reverted. That being said, speaking of low downforce, I cannot wait for the Xfinity Series on Tuesday. That's going to be a show, even though it is under the lights. Another thing, I'm a big fan of night racing. I'm totally the guy that wants night racing at almost every track that you can do it. I love the energy under the lights, but I have to say, it was almost 90 degrees. It was so hot in Darlington, and I have to say, the cars sliding around all over the place. I think I'm noticing a theme here that this package, even though the high downforce is not my favorite, it's better when it's hot out and the track's nice and greasy and slick. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of that now. So some notable drivers throughout the day. So Tyler Reddick, rookie. That 8 car outperforming RCR equipment by far. He was running some of the fastest laps of the field early in the race, had that uncontrolled tire, had to go to the back, and then found himself sneaking up into the top 10 late in the run. I believe he finished 8th, and then another one right behind him, John Hunter Nemechek. I believe he finished 9th in the front row motorsports car, absolutely outperforming his equipment. He finished 20th in both stages, I believe, and ended up finishing 9th. Absolutely fantastic for John Hunter Nemechek. Another notable, the big name people were watching coming in was Matt Kenseth in the 42 car, obviously taking the seat of Kyle Larson, whose incident was, if you haven't heard of that, I did a video on that as well. But yeah, Matt Kenseth had just the most consistent day you can have for not being in a car for at least a year. Teammate Kurt Busch was running in the top 5 late in the going, I believe 3rd. He was knocking on the door of Bowman and Harvick, but yeah, Matt Kenseth, for not being in the car throughout the entirety of 2019, had such a good day. Fantastic run for him. Just can't wait to see how he improves throughout the season. Another one of the big stories coming in was Ryan Newman, and while he had that spin late in the day, he had a pretty good day. I believe he ran in the top 20. He was knocking on the door of the top 10 early in the going, but ultimately with that lazy spin in the end, he had a good comeback. Definitely weird circumstances for Newman. Only after his scary crash in Daytona, only missing I believe 3 races early in the season. As far as the broadcast goes, I mean, this, like I said, one of the most important races in NASCAR history. And I think the broadcast, you can tell that the commentators, they were kind of more geared towards trying to cater to the newer audience and people who might be watching for the first time, since this is the only live sporting event that's back right now. So I think it went fairly well. The only thing I'm a little disappointed with was the drone cam. I thought the drone cam would be really cool because they now have the accessibility to use the drone cam over the grandstands, and I don't know, it was just kind of, it looked like a GoPro shot with a fisheye lens. It didn't look as good. I think obviously they're limited with their cameramen. I think this was the opportunity too for Fox maybe to get a little bit more creative with camera shots and to do certain things. But I think for at least for the first going at Darlington, everything went fairly well. Again, all criticisms out the window, kind of, because you have to be so thankful that we have sports back in general. To bring any normalcy back, complaining and criticizing is kind of the thing to do to make it feel normal. But obviously, inside we're all just grateful and happy that NASCAR is back. So I think I've covered just about everything. Drama, unpredictability, great racing side by side. How close they were getting to the wall in the end there was amazing. The only thing I think this race missed on was strategy. There wasn't much strategy going on because honestly I think it's more because the yellows fell in the wrong ways to really get anything going, and plus there actually wasn't any green flag pit stops. So yeah, on to Xfinity at Darlington on Tuesday. I'm so glad NASCAR is back. Normalcy is coming back. Screw the new normal. This is not the new normal. The normal is going to be going back to racetracks over the summer. Hopefully, if everything goes well and everything keeps going in the direction it's going. I'm very excited. IndyCar's back in June. Very excited for that. I'll be talking about more NASCAR events and uploading some more content on the side. Maybe some more streams, some more iRacing stuff. Who knows? We're living in a different world. Anything can happen. This has been Racing Nation TV, and I will see you in the next video.